Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're breaking down how Yemen's recent entry into a major conflict might have just sprung a strategic trap that's been decades in the making, all based on the source material we've been analyzing. So let's just start with this question. What if the weakest player on the board just made the winning move? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But for weeks, the analysis of this war has been dominated by one single assumption, that Iran was fighting all by itself. Well, Yemen's military entry doesn't just add another player to the game, it completely changes the entire board.
You see, that core assumption that Iran was isolated is now totally out the window. Yemen hasn't just been tweeting out messages of support, they've jumped into the war militarily. And that one act has some absolutely massive strategic implications.
And this right here, this common perception, is really at the heart of the huge miscalculation we're about to unpack. The idea of Yemen as this devastated, strategically useless nation, well, according to this analysis, that's exactly the kind of thinking that let this trap get set in the first place. But that perception, it clashes, and I mean dramatically, with the reality of what Yemen has actually proven it can do, and very, very recently. Okay, so to really get what's happening now, we have to rewind the clock just a little bit. This isn't some broken, fragile country we're talking about. No, this is a nation that has been absolutely battle-hardened. Think about this for a second. For 7 years, Yemen was up against a war led by a powerful coalition backed with all the Western military tech and intelligence you can imagine. They were under a devastating blockade meant to starve them out. And yet, they didn't surrender. Instead, they got stronger. They built up their own military and they fought back. So let's be super clear about what happened here. A blockaded, starving country defeated a modern, incredibly well-funded military coalition. And the ceasefire? That didn't happen because Yemen gave up. Oh no, it happened because Yemen started landing these painful, precise strikes on critical Saudi oil infrastructure, making the war way too costly for the coalition to keep fighting.
So how does a nation like this resilient, battle-tested nation, suddenly project its power across the entire globe? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, and it all comes down to one thing: geography.
You see, Yemen just happens to sit on one of the most important maritime choke points in the entire world. Think of it like a major intersection on a global trade superhighway. If you control that intersection, you control the flow of goods for a huge chunk of the planet. And this is the key piece of real estate we're talking about, the Babel Mandeb Strait. By controlling access to this narrow strip of water, Yemen can threaten to disrupt everything: oil tankers, massive container ships, effectively holding a huge portion of global commerce hostage.
In that 15%, it might not sound like a huge number at first, but when we're talking about all global trade, that is an absolutely immense amount of leverage. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. Disrupting this is like causing a potential earthquake for global supply chains.
Okay, so here's where all the pieces start to click together. Yemen's control over this one choke point combines with Iran's influence over another one, and that creates what the source material is calling a two-front strategic trap. So you've got this pincer movement, right? To the east, you have Iran threatening the Strait of Hormuz. And now, to the west, you have Yemen threatening the Red Sea. All of a sudden, the U.S. military is facing pressure from two different directions at the exact same time. But this trap, it isn't just about geography. It's also economic. It's built on a really simple, but frankly brutal cost imbalance that is designed to work against a superpower. And this is where the math just gets completely insane. Just look at these numbers. You're using an interceptor missile that can cost up to $10 million to shoot down a drone that costs maybe $50,000. You just can't win a war of attrition when the math is that lopsided. It's a losing game financially. And that bad math has very real, very painful consequences. You're burning through a finite, incredibly expensive stockpile of interceptors. Every missile you fire in the Red Sea is one you can't use in the Persian Gulf, forcing an impossible choice. All the while, the financial clock on this whole effort is just ticking faster and faster. So all this military and financial pressure, it's all designed to lead to one very specific place: a cascading economic crisis. I mean, think about it. When you start seriously threatening two of the world's most critical oil choke points at the same time, the energy markets, well, they start to freak out. And all of a sudden, oil hitting $150 a barrel isn't some wild fantasy anymore. It's a very real scenario that serious analysts are now preparing for. So, what if it hits 200? According to the source material we're looking at, that isn't just a price, it's a tipping point. It's the kind of number that could trigger a domino effect with profound consequences far beyond just the price at the pump. And this is really the whole point. The goal here isn't a conventional military victory on a traditional battlefield. It's to make the cost of continuing this war so high, economically and politically, that it becomes completely unsustainable for Western governments back home.
And there you have it. That's how the trap closes. It's this perfect storm of military pressure, geographic control, and absolutely devastating economic attrition. And according to this analysis, Yemen's entry wasn't just another escalation, it was the final, critical piece that snapped the whole thing shut.
So the analysis we've explored today suggests this is way more than just another regional conflict. It really forces us to ask the question, are we witnessing a massive, historic strategic miscalculation unfold in real time? A moment that could actually shift the global power dynamics for decades to come?